Hey everyone, welcome to the stream today. It's Miriam, and I'm back with another amazing founder to talk about their journey and what they're up to. They're also being nice enough to participate in the QUOKA research project. So I want to welcome Heather. Thanks for making time today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
So let's start off with just saying thank you to you again about taking time to chat with me, being vulnerable online, and all the questions I ask you today are just meant to help me build a really good product. I'm not testing you. These are just research questions, so your honest answers are important. There's no right or wrong. Do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I want to bring up your website so we can take a look at that. And I'd love for you to share just what brought you to this point in your journey.
The journey, right? It was rocky for some time. I had some pretty significant life experiences and looking for ways to cope with them, to manage my businesses, to improve my relationships. And through it all, I ended up becoming an emotional wellness coach. It's been years now, but what's amazing is because of my entrepreneurial experience, I help other entrepreneurs with their more service-based businesses. But because of the struggle that I had with anxiety and depression and reactivity, learning a whole bunch of different methods, that's who I help. The people that are also struggling with that their inner critic or perfectionism is just taking over, and helping them see that it doesn't have to.
That's beautiful. How long have you been doing this work?
This specifically under this name, it's been since 2013, I think. But I've owned businesses and had teams under me since I was 23, I think, is the calculation brings me back to. So like 22 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, I just wasn't certified as a life coach until 2000 something. So it was uncertified.
Yeah. Look at your kitty. It's so cute. I love it. Well, that's a long time to be in this world doing this. I mean, it's energy. It can be a lot. Like I'm only 5 years in and I'm like, ooh, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, is learning how to balance your output versus the input that you receive. So that was actually the hardest part of my journey, is realizing that there needed to be input. That meant self-care, support, breaks, that it's okay, even when you're growing, that it's okay to stop for a breath. I think that was the most debilitating part of it all. So,
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's get into some of this.
mm-hmm.
This research and maybe hear a little bit more about what's happened in your
Okay.
life.
Yeah.
Do you belong to any entrepreneur communities?
Um, No, just like groups that are masterminds and things like that. So I guess that would be considered a community mastermind. So yeah, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm in 3 right now.
Nice, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love masterminds. I'm always in those things.
Mm-hmm. They are.
I'm like, let's do it. Let's mastermind. Yeah. Okay, so now we're just going to go through some statements that are kind of yes or no
Mm-hmm.
style, but feel free to expand on anything.
Mm-hmm.
Being an entrepreneur is fun.
Yes.
Being an entrepreneur is hard.
Yes.
Do you feel understood as an entrepreneur?
Can that be a only if by other entrepreneurs, but not by non-entrepreneurs?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So would you say it's false?
I would say I do not feel understood. Yeah, more so than not understood.
Mm-hmm. What about listened to? Do you feel listened to as an entrepreneur?
I'll go with true. And that I'll add to that though. It's like true as much as people can listen and try to understand, right? Or, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do the people around you understand the problems and challenges that you face as an entrepreneur?
No, not unless it's people within the masterminds and groups. So the majority of people around me know.
Mm-hmm. Is life as an entrepreneur depressing at times?
Yes.
Do you feel pressure as an entrepreneur to be involved in communities online or in person?
Yeah, it's the only way we can really continue to grow and expand our networks and our businesses.
Do you enjoy helping others and solving problems?
Yes, very much.
When it takes you a few days to reply to someone asking for your help, do you feel guilty?
No. In the past, yes, but not any longer.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you feel pressure to appear to look like you know what you're doing as an entrepreneur?
No, not anymore. Again, in the past, yes, and that was debilitating. But no, I've learned how to get past that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you always feel confident that you know what you're doing as an entrepreneur?
No.
Do you have people that you can speak to about your deepest thoughts and challenges about being an entrepreneur?
Yes.
Do you feel comfortable asking for help when you need it?
That's still something I'm working on improving. So yes, I feel comfortable. I'm still learning how to though.
Mm.
So when I realize I need to ask for help, I'm comfortable asking, but I'm still learning that that's an existence. That's actually real. So yeah. So I'll say yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. So now let's go in. I want to hear a little bit more about, your motivation for being an entrepreneur. Like, what do you like best? Why are you doing this work?
Yeah. So from what I've heard stories, it started from like when I was a child, like 5. I was making bookmarks and selling them around the neighborhood. But what was different that everybody points out is that once I didn't like it anymore, I didn't want to do it, whatever it was. So I was always very gung ho and make it a business. But as soon as it wasn't fun, I would stop. And so that's an element that I like about being an entrepreneur. If I work for someone else, I have to do the job they want me to do as long as they want me to do it. Where if I am employing myself, I get to do what I enjoy for as long as I enjoy it. And if I don't, I get to pivot. That creates a ton of energetic freedom, creativity. It also can create a lot of spinning wheels, right? And like rabbit holes, but it's still within my personality that I really like to do what I want the way that I want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Perfect.
To see that, I guess, even if I can expand on that, when I worked for other people, I would find it challenging that I could see solutions to things that they couldn't, wouldn't, or weren't willing to try. And I would see how them not being willing, it would inhibit what the client or the consumer would benefit from. So that also felt really challenging. And is a part of the inspiration is that I know when I'm doing it my way that I can create the biggest impact for the people that are working with me, and that I'm the direct source, that if it isn't, they get to share that with me and I can instantly make a change. So that also feels really empowering. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, great. And what about some of the challenges? What do you like least about being an entrepreneur?
Uh, Not having the chance to collaborate as much as I thrive in that type of environment. So I still like to be in charge, but I like to be able to bounce things off of people. And when you're a solo entrepreneur or a smaller entrepreneur, those collabs are usually people you're hiring, like coaches. So I do like working alone, but I do miss having interactions. Right? As an entrepreneur, you don't get to talk about like the favorite show you watched last night with your client, or at least not in what my practice is. So it's a little lonely. That's one of the challenges. I think it can be lonely, and it can feel like there isn't as much support because people don't understand that a tiny little risk or choice for an entrepreneur feels huge to somebody that isn't. So sometimes you will get pushback or just people not encouraging you as much, and they seem like scaredy cats all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's descriptive enough about, they're my two main challenges, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yep. If you were giving advice to an aspiring entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
what would you tell them that they needed to succeed and fulfill their full potential?
They're two different things, what I would tell them versus what they need. So what they think they need, is X, Y, and Z, but what they actually need is to really know that there is the potential for burnout, that they will go in all gung-ho and have tons of energy, but without that charge and finding what nourishes them, they could burn out really quick. That they, as much as they see how successful it can be, to still plan for the just in cases, so that if there's a financial challenge, that's not what's going to set them back. And also to really go into something fully supported, to find coaches, to find mentors, to find community, so that when things do get interesting, there are people to turn to. There's some of the main things that I would share. So really focusing on self-care, what fills you up, learning how to set boundaries with your business, just like you would with people, taking breaks, having space. If you are in a partnership with your partner, have time that you're not allowed to talk about work with each other. That might have saved my marriage. Which is fine that it doesn't exist anymore, but at the time it was devastating. And honestly, that probably would have saved my marriage if I could have turned off sometimes and just been Heather, the wife and partner, and not Heather, the woman that had 27 employees and didn't know how I was going to pay payroll. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So self-care and support, being well-resourced is the number. That's it. I mean, being well-resourced financially, with support, and within yourself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have everything that you need to fulfill your potential as an entrepreneur?
I do. And what I don't have in my grasp right now, it's kind of opening it up and exploring it. I do have amazing coaches that are supporting me. I have a decent network of other entrepreneurs that I connect with. That could probably be a little bit fuller. So yes, I have all that I need. I guess my question to myself is, am I utilizing them all to the best? And am I being most efficient with what I have? That answer is probably no. But I do have all that I need.
Mm-hmm. When you need information, you want to learn something new related to your business or entrepreneurship, you have something you need help with, support with a challenge, where do you go for the answer?
I probably would search Google first, see what solutions come up there, and then from those solutions, see what resonate most with me, and then ask my network of people what they think of those things, or if they have different suggestions. So I might go to my coaches or some of the communities I'm in, just on like Facebook or something, and be like, hey, what does somebody think about this?
Mm-hmm. How long does it typically take you to do that process? Get the information, support you need?
I'm really pretty fast with that stuff, the level of impatience, I guess. So if I decided I wanted to look into something, I would have the information, and it would just take however long other people took to respond to me, but probably within a couple hours or a day at the longest.
Okay, great. All right, now let's talk a little bit about some mental health questions.
Mm-hmm.
How would you rate your overall mental health on a scale from 0 to 10?
It's been a bit of a rough year this year. I just lost my father, and there was a ton of drama around like that whole situation. So it wasn't great. But I would still say it was at a 7, where if these same things happened a year or two ago, I probably would have been in a 1 or 2. So really grateful for how resourced I am now, but I wouldn't have minded if it was amped up a bit.
Mm-hmm. How does your response to the previous question make you feel on a scale from 0 to 10?
For this question, it actually makes me feel pretty positive because of that reference of how I would have been just a year ago in the same type of circumstance. So I would say a 9 for that.
Okay. Let's choose which aspects are negatively impacted when you feel less than great mentally.
Okay. Confidence, friendships, probably activity and sleep, maybe budget because I definitely use retail therapy on occasion. And I'm sure romantic relationship, right? I don't think so, but my partner would probably tell me that yes.
Okay, and now we're going to choose whether the following items have a positive, neutral, or negative effect on your mental health.
Mm. Hmm. So, yeah, social media. I rely on it for business, so you would think positive, but I think I'll say positive. If I have to pick one or the other, I'll pick positive.
Mm-hmm.
News would be negative. Family would be positive. Friendships positive. Work positive. Volunteering positive. Romantic relationships, luckily now positive.
Okay. Which has the most positive effect on your mental health?
See, it's interesting because I actually mix like family with romantic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I think I would have to say that work and relationships are the two top ones. I don't know that I can pick.
We can just put other, we can say work and relationships.
Yeah, work and relationships.
Okay. How many hours per week do you spend on work and relationships?
50.
And what do you do to help support or manage your mental health?
I do have coaches. So coaches that are for belief clearing, for energy work, for business. I also, most of my friends are coaches, so we trade sessions or just talk about our work. They're the main two sources that I would say is receiving sessions. I go to, well, I speak with a therapist also. I find though that there's not a lot of shifts that occur there. It's just because it's another person to talk to, that I don't have to have a reciprocal conversation. I can seriously just like dump whatever I want to dump. So they're the three, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you use any applications or websites to help manage your mental health?
I haven't considered that. So no apps that I can think of. I mean, unless we would consider like there's an exercise app that I use to just track my movement activities. And I find that, to be super valuable with mental health. Websites, I'm sure the answer would be yes. I just can't think off the top of my head what that would be.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me about a time you felt mentally unhealthy or imbalanced?
Yeah. There have been a few different times throughout my life that I have.
Is there anything that triggers that time?
Like anything that triggers me to feeling the same way as that time?
Yeah,
Or,
like mentally unhealthy or imbalanced.
no, not now. It was definitely a lifestyle change that need to happen, relationships that needed to shift, that had the impact. So I did what I needed to do to separate myself, to work on my boundaries, to become more self-validating. So there's not much. I would say, if anything, it would be relationship dynamics that could trigger it. Yeah, actually, as I'm saying that, yes, relationship dynamics 100% trigger it. I've been having some challenges with one of the potential business partners that I have, and some of the things have had me question: am I feeling emotional abuse again, or am I feeling this? So yeah, relationship dynamics for sure.
Okay. So you talk to your family about your mental health?
Yes.
And do you talk to friends?
I talk to everybody about my mental health. So yeah, too much for some people.
Great. What support do you need that you're not receiving to help manage your mental health?
I am really grateful, and I feel like I am receiving. I love this. I mean, this is what I do, so I could eat it up. I could be in therapy sessions all day long and love it. So I don't think that I would ever feel like that's all I need. I would always take more, but I really, really am very well resourced right now.
Yeah. Is there a particular amount of money that you would pay for a platform that created a more positive impact on your mental health?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the impact, right? So, if it's incredible impact and it's not only influencing how I feel, but how I work and my effectiveness and what I'm earning, right? That opens up a whole new level of what would feel okay to spend. And if I consider, like, I spend almost $2,000 a month on one of my coaches, so I would definitely spend that on something that had a huge impact. And if it's just, affirmation type support or community support, then maybe a couple $100.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. When thinking about the mental health of people that you know, how do you think most of them would rate their mental health on a scale from 0 to 10?
My coach friends and people in this world that like to know this stuff, they would probably say a 7. And then for a lot of the other people in my life, they're not into this and they don't really even consider their mental health. So I feel like they would either say a 4 or a 10, right? They would be so out of control of what it is that they would say a 4, or they would be so oblivious to what it is, they'd say a 10.
Okay. Now I'm going to pull up again. Which social platforms do you use?
Instagram and Facebook. WhatsApp, just for actually 2 people that I chat with. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm trying to think if there's an other. No, I don't work. Oh, I guess YouTube, if we pick other. YouTube and LinkedIn.
Okay, great. On average, across all platforms, text message, everything, how many messages do you receive a day?
Over 10, for sure. I mean, I would say probably closer to 100.
How does receiving that many make you feel?
Overwhelmed. Sometimes it feels like a bit frustrating at how many of them are spammy, and that it's a waste of time to have to fish through them. And yeah, that overwhelmed feeling that sometimes it feels like, am I going to get on top of my to-do list before another whole list arrives?
On average, how many messages do you send a day?
Over 10.
And how does that make you feel?
Actually, a little satisfied, because it means something is more complete, or something is on the road to being complete.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Now I'm going to send you a link. Can you share your screen?
Yeah, how do I do that? Just share screen?
Yeah, click on that and see. It should give you an option to share it. And then I'm going to send you a link to share to this website. And then you can just talk out loud as you're reviewing it. Nothing you say is hurtful. It's very helpful to
Okay.
just get honest thoughts on what you think. Like, even if you're like, whoa, this is wild or whatever.
Okay. So I'll just, yeah, talking out loud. A lot of times I don't even look at these pop-up pages. I just want to get to what I want to get to. So I would just be agreeing and continuing. I would think that this is a techie site because of the bright, bold colors. Like it seems like it would be, and because of the cell phone in her hand, I would, oh, and it is about text messaging. So that makes sense. Yeah, for me, I guess there's something that I wouldn't feel like this was for me. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the colors or what it is. I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, okay. And then being a founder is exhausting caught my eye. And it was like, oh, who's this? What do they know? What are they talking about? Like that, they might know something for me. So I think also that, again, this is just for me, the text messaging, that doesn't appeal to me because I don't want to have any more text messages. I need a lot on my desktop because my eyes are so strained. But I would think for people who do, especially younger people who like that, this is amazing. I think it's great that it talks about getting started for free really early on and then starts to talk about, what this is. I like how concise these are, right? Therapy, nice to have, but let's get real. Like it's just so to the point and relatable. Yeah, it's interesting. I think I would like examples if that's not already on the website. Like I'm already thinking ahead of, I hear what this is saying, but what does it look like? So it would be really cool to see what examples of these anonymous things are, because for me, until I saw that, I wouldn't necessarily join. Yeah. So am I just text messaging and someone's responding back? Is it a one-on-one conversation that's happening? Where does it go? So a little bit more of that stuff would be helpful. Right, like how it works. Send and receive anonymous messages. Like I just would like to know like who's sending them, because if I don't feel like it's comparable to the information that I would want, I don't know that I would care too much about receiving. There's a lot of reassurance of feeling like I know I'm in the right place as far as being related to as an entrepreneur. And I like that it's anonymous. And I think it's something that a lot of people worry about. Even just on Facebook groups, there's so many like 10K month coaches. And I bet you a whole bunch of them aren't making 10K. So this probably would be right up their alley to get support with. For me, I wouldn't need this, like the features compared to, because it's completely different than Reddit, Slack, or Clubhouse. Like I would compare it more to like Better Health or those types of sites. Because Reddit and Slack and Clubhouse, to me, they're just social media for like community and engagement. Yeah, that's all that I have from
Okay.
this round.
Thank you. That's great. So
Yeah.
now that you've kind of visited the website, how would you describe what Quoka is and its purpose in 2 to 3 sentences?
Quoca is here to support entrepreneurs with some of the most standard struggles, and they keep it anonymous so that you can feel really, really safe to talk about everything and get support with it. That's what I imagine it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Wonderful. Any other kind of suggestions, concerns? I mean, you shared a lot. It was all very helpful.
When I go back to the top of the site, I would almost want to see being a founder as exhausting as the first thing, because that is the first thing. And then it's what it is. So like Quoca is an anonymous text messaging. It's a lot to read to get to the point, if that is helpful as far as like messaging. But that being a founder is exhausting is definitely like a, ugh, it is. And then this is the solution kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Can I just ask you a real,
Yeah.
do you like being a founder is exhausting, or being a founder can be exhausting?
I think when you approach the messaging in either way, being a founder is exhausting, is going to appeal to the person that needs the solution now, that's struggling with it now. The person that reads being a founder can be exhausting. It doesn't create such an urgency to get help.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
Yeah. Yeah, because everybody knows it can be exhausting, but it's the ones that they feel exhausted that are going to be most likely to sign up for it.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that is the interview. This has been really helpful for me. I really appreciate your time. Is there anything? Well, first of all, do you want me to add your name to the mailing list? It doesn't matter. I mean, if you get too many already, you don't have to.
You can, and I'll check it out and see what it is, and then if it's too much or if I don't need it, then I can let you know. Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Okay. That is there anything that I can do to support your work that you're doing?
No, just I love the opportunity to kind of get it out there. Obviously, if I shared anything that resonates with anybody, then feel free to connect.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. I thank you so much. I'm so glad that we met. I would love to stay connected. I feel like there may be some synergies down the line, you know, as I develop this, since you work with entrepreneurs and help them out.
I would love that for sure.
Cool. Well, enjoy the holiday weekend. Thanks. And thank you so much for taking the time today, Heather. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks. I'll see you again sometime.